Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the day it is. Welcome to Miss Perkins' literature class. It is so nice to have you here with me today on day number 3 of week 2 and getting set up. It takes me 1 minute. All right. So, again, welcome to lesson 3, week 2. So, we broke up our learning so far into 2 phases, and today we're going to add on the 3rd phase. So I have the little man here, and he's holding up his weights because what we are doing once we get finished with all of this is really, really heavy lifting. So I'm so proud of all the work that you put in and sticking in there and learning. By the end, you're going to be amazed. So the first thing that we focused in on was looking at nonfiction text, and we survey the text. That means we take a piece of text and we just look over it, and we see what text features pop out at us on the page, and then we look at those text features and we see what do we actually learn from them. So I'm going to come out of here for a second because I think that's really important that as we are talking about this, that you are seeing exactly what I'm speaking of. So I took smidgens, little snippets out of here, and I put them in my previous presentation. But I wanted you to notice that I could just look at these, right? I see McDonald's. I know this has to do with McDonald's. It's the text feature there. I could look at the heading, and it says happy and healthy. So it must be talking about McDonald's and being healthy. Then I see bold print that says McDonald's is making changes to its kids' meal. So I could put all that together and say, okay, they're changing up their menu some, and they're being very conscientious or thoughtful about what kids are consuming. So then I can look down here and it says fast food nation. So I next know that there's a section of the text that's going to be talking about fast food. And then it talks about healthy up here. It says happy and healthy. So it must be thinking about how can it improve its fast food in terms of its menu. And then down here, I have a chart. And on the chart, I see it says recommended daily calorie intake for kids right here. Okay, so it's paying attention to the servings of food and how much, what does that mean to our bodies, to the kids' bodies, to their health. And then there's calorie count. So without reading all of that and just looking at the text features, I already can predict that this is going to be about, like I said, McDonald's Happy Meals, how to make them healthier. So that is the point of looking at text features. When we look at our text features, we can start making those predictions about what we're going to read. So text features are really important, and we want to make sure that we look at them as soon as we get a piece of text, right? We should be able to look at a text and say, look at the title, look at the text features and say, this is a fiction text or this is a nonfiction text. We want to start training our eyes in that way. And we also want to start thinking about or making sure that when we preview the text, when we're looking at it, when we first get it, that we're making those predictions about what could this be about. All right, so then phase 2, telling you guys, we did some heavy lifting these last couple days. We focused in on identifying and using supporting details. So we discussed that supporting details are information that supports, defines, or explains the main idea. And the types of supporting details that we honed in on are fact and opinion. So fact is information that can be verified. Remember, we discussed this yesterday. It's based on, we could verify it based on observations, experience, or we could just look it up in a book, right? We can ask someone. Opinion has something to do with someone's feelings or beliefs or their values or how they view something, okay? So we used identifying and using supporting details to find the topic. So once we found our supporting details, we looked at them and we determined whether it was a fact statement or an opinion statement. we can look through all of those, right? And we did, and we identified a topic, right? So once you preview the text and you're looking at the text features, then you go in and you start reading, right? And then when you read, you look for common words that keep popping up, and that's a subject or a topic, right? And then once we go from there, we say, okay, so now that I have the topic, what specifically about the topic is being discussed? And then sometimes we have to infer or conclude the unstated main idea. Unstated means it's not there. We have to figure it out. But by looking at our text features and by reading our supporting details and looking for what is the topic, starting now, a topic is something that's broad, right? So if my topic was on cars, when I think about that's the topic, when I think about the main idea, I'm thinking about what specifically about a car is going to be talking about. So the same thing applies with anything. You're looking at your supporting details, you're finding those keywords or phrases that are repeated, and then you're thinking about, well, what about those things? So when we think of main idea, that's the main point of the text. What about the text is being discussed? It's the most important idea about the topic of a paragraph or passage, okay? So that was phase 2. Now we're on to phase 3. Now in phase 3, we're going to learn some new stuff, but we're still going to go over some of the things that occurred in phase 1 and 2 and try to bridge them all together, okay? So that it makes sense. All right, so our learning target is I can identify and categorize supporting details. So our critical, important, essential vocabulary words. First one is text structure. And it's how, when you think of a structure of a building, right? How is the building made up? The same thing applies when you think about a text. How is it made up? Like a story is made up of plot events. It has characters and settings, and that's how that piece of text is organized. But we're looking at nonfiction text, so we want to think about what's the text structure? How did the author organize his or her writing? So we're going to look at 2 types of text structure. The first one is, and this is another critical vocabulary word, chronological order. It shows the order in which things occur. So it can be, things can occur in order of time or importance, okay? So when you think of time, you could think of, major milestones that have happened in your life. So from the time you were a baby, you could pick an event, maybe an event when you're a toddler, maybe an event when you were entering in kindergarten, and then an event for you right now, right? So that's order of time. Order of importance would be maybe you have things that you've achieved, accomplishments. So maybe you've won football championships, or you won a you win dance competitions because you're a dancer. Well, the most important one, you may order your events based on the most important championship that you won, or the most important dance event that you won, or the most important writing competition that you won. Okay. So our clue words are dates or times. And then we have words like after, next, first, then. Okay. Those are chronological order clue words. Another type of text structure, another essential critical vocabulary word is compare and contrast. Okay. So the writing may be organized where they're comparing and contrasting things, showing how they're similar or how they're different. So your comparison clue words are like, similar, same, similarly, as. Contrast clue words, different, unlike, on the other hand, while, in contrast, and but. Okay, so again, we're thinking about how did the author organize his text? Okay, and we have 2 text structures that we're focusing in on. We're looking at chronological order, and we're looking at compare and contrast. And when we read our text, we're going to figure out what text structure did the author organize his writing? Like which one did he use to organize his writing? or her writing. Okay? So before we can begin that, it's really important that you pause me, or you could just listen to the music. The music sounds better today in a different setting, so I have a different kind of music um, tool to use. So you can listen to the music. You can pause me right now so that you can go get your water, your snack, a pencil, piece of paper, maybe some color pencils, whatever it is that you need. And when you come back, go ahead and resume me. The music's going to be playing. Once the music stops playing, I'm going to come back. But know that you can pause me and continue on until you are ready to move on with the lesson. Okay? So, oh, did I tell you what you were supposed to be doing? You are making your anchor chart, or you are making your sketch notes. You're dropping down or writing down some of the notes that we learned about today, some of the things that we learned about. So you definitely want to think about text structure. And is there a symbol that can help you to remember text structure? A symbol and caption, do you want to include both of those? You want to make sure that you're creating notes or your anchor chart in a method that will help you to remember. So if writing helps you remember, drawing helps you remember, writing and drawing, maybe writing and drawing, and going to find someone inside your home to talk about this with, or calling someone on the phone and talking to them about it, whatever means you need to make sure that this is kind of getting embedded in your brain, right? So that when we look at text, we can start thinking about these things quickly. Okay, they become natural for you. All right, so you may begin. Okay, I am back, and I'm ready to move on to the next section of our lesson. All right, so we are going to think about what is the text structure and the text that we have been honing in on. And so our text is titled Debates, Cats or Dogs? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to enlarge this, and I'm thinking about the clue words. I know it gets bigger. Okay, so I'm looking for the clue words. So I'm thinking about what is the text structure? How did the author organize this writing? So already by looking at the title, when it says cats or dogs, sounds like, and it's a debate. And remember yesterday when we looked at this, let's add our highlight here. Wait a minute, hold on. Oops. Let me grab a color. How about that? All right, so we looked at where it says, and I'm going to change that color. You don't like that color. All right, so I'm going to get this color because I think it'll be easier to see. And so yesterday we identified this as the main idea, okay? And so this is a main idea that's directly stated. We didn't have to make a guess or anything like that. We really could look in this last sentence in the first paragraph and say, okay, this is the main idea statement. So many people can't seem to agree on which animal makes a better pet. Okay. So that is our main idea. Many people can't seem to agree on which animal makes a better pet. So I know that they're talking about two animals. So I predict that the text structure is going to be compare and contrast. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the text and I'm going to see if I can find some compare and contrast keywords to help support my prediction, confirm my prediction. All right. So there's no question that Americans love both dogs and cats. And I'm going to change this to blue. About 48% of households in the US own dogs and 38% own cats, according to the American Pet Products Association. But one thing, but is also both shows comparison, but shows contrast. So I think that I might be correct in my predicting that this is compare and contrast. In the second paragraph, it says cat lovers argue that their pets are easier to take care for than dogs. They point out that cats are less of a nuisance to other people because they don't bark or jump on visitors. Also, it's cheaper to own a cat. Cat owners spend $300 to $800 less per year than dog owners do, according to the American Society for the Prevention of the Cruelty to Animals. Dogs sometimes need training classes and eat more food than cats do. Visits to the vet also tend to cost more for dogs. Still, dog owners say that the money they spend on their pets is well worth it. They argue that dogs are more social and affectionate than cats. Plus, scientists who study the brains of both animals, so we got the word both again, determine that dogs are smarter than cats. Dog lovers also point out that canines help people in ways that felines can't. For example, walking their pets helps dog owners stay active, and dogs can be trained as service pets for people who are disabled or have food allergies. Okay, so my clue words that I found were both, but, and both. They are the paragraph, the passage is talking about cats and dogs. And throughout the passage is talking about similarities and differences, is really talking about also why cat owners love cats and why dog owners love dogs. Okay, so they're comparing the animals, but they're also comparing, and this is something that we learned about last week in week one, is we're comparing and contrasting perspectives, how people see things. Well, we have the cat lovers, and they have their view, right? How they see things, how they feel, what they believe. And then on the other side, we have the dog lovers, and we are seeing through their eyes what they believe, how they feel, and what they think. Okay, so we are going to go back over here and I worked on a Venn diagram, because whenever you have compare and contrast, a good strategy to use to help you pull out some of the comparisons and the contrast is by using a graphic organizer. And so how my graphic organizer is structured, how it's put together, is that in each section, I want to include, well, each of the contrasting sections. So over here under cats, this outer circle, over here under dogs, this outer circle. I'm going to I wrote down, excuse me, a fact and an opinion statement about cats. And then in the center, I wrote down how both dogs and cats are similar, because that's the section for comparing. So let's review that first. So under cats, I have 38% owned cats. That is a fact. We know that because it has 38%. We can go and we can look that up. We can Google search that. We can look in a book. We can look somewhere where we can verify that information. Cat lovers argue that their cats are easier to take care of. That is opinion, because again, from yesterday, we have the word easier. So that is based on someone's feelings. So they may think it's easier to take care of a cat, or someone else might think that it's easier to take care of a dog. Okay. So what I would like for you to do, and this is again, if you choose to do it, you don't have to submit any work, but for additional practice, in the center section, I have Americans love dogs and cats. That is an opinion that comes straight out of the text. What inference can you make about cats and dogs that you can add to this section of the graphic organizer? What is something that you can put there that makes the cats and dogs, like how are they similar? And it's not something that comes from the text, it's going to be something that comes from your brain. Think about the fact that this is a debate. Think about that there's an argument, and you have your cat lovers and your dog lovers, and the cat lovers are explaining why the cats are such a great pet. You have the dogs that are lovers that are explaining why having a dog is such a great pet. So think about, what inference can you make? What guess can you make? And put it right here. Okay. So then on the dog section, you're going to go back in the text and you're going to find one fact about dogs that's different from the fact about cats. And then you're going to find one opinion statement about dogs. Okay. And then, so that's it for today's lesson. So let's do a quick review. Phase one, we looked at nonfiction. I'm telling you guys, we went into beast mode on this. We looked at nonfiction text. We looked at text features. We used supporting details, fact and opinion, to help us to make predictions about, to identify the topic first, and then make predictions about the main idea. And then we discovered what the main idea was, and then we looked further into the text to determine the text structure. Was it chronological order? Is that how it was organized? Was it organized in compare and contrast? I mean, you guys, our minds are just working and working and working. And so I'm so proud of the work that we're doing. You are doing an amazing job. And that is the end of lesson 3. And I look forward to seeing you in lesson 4. See you later.